was as coaches, when you go to things like this, you go to a seminar, you go to a clinic, or you go to whatever, you have to have a clear understanding for yourself of what kind of coach you want to be. Because if you don't know that about yourself, then you're not going to have a clear understanding of how to apply the information that you're learning. So if my goal, the two easiest ways to break it down are, do I want to win or do I want to develop? Which is fundamentally, am I focused on myself? Not that that's bad. Am I focused on myself and advancing my coaching career? That's not said negatively. That's just is what it is.
Yeah,
or am I
that's
focused
a different
on
coach.
Yeah, or am I just focused on, am I doing it player focused where I care that they get to a higher level? Sometimes there can be a blend, right?
100%.
But I'm just making it black and white.
Got to figure out how to make that a blend too.
Exactly. But if we make it just black and white, are you this guy or are you this guy? Are you more this guy or are you more this guy? Then when you go to these things, you can take that information and process it for how you're going to apply that to the team that you're coaching. So if you coached a U18 team in whatever, Whitby or whatever it is, and you have aspirations of moving on to junior, you have aspirations of moving on to coach at the high levels, that winning focus might be something that is more important to you because you're trying to get on a junior B bench next year to be an assistant coach. So then maybe like some of these higher level systems things or little tricks that you can use, face-off plays, this kind of stuff might be more attractive, like where your interests lie. Whereas you listen to somebody else and it's like, hey, here's how you can better develop the shot of this type of player. Maybe that's less interesting to you, and you can start to pick what kind of information you're looking for, But if you don't know, if you don't have that question answered for yourself about the kind of coach you want to be, then it's hard to go into those things and pull out information that's actually useful with your team or in your circumstance, So I think for me, like my take home from that was, again, just thinking about how to be modern, use the term authentic, which I really like, being authentic as a coach, making it relatable, and then how to use some of these resources that are actually out there now, and so I met the guy that runs the coaches site, Aaron, who's an awesome guy. We talked for a while. And they have like so many great resources and it's such a wide spectrum of resources that you can go in there and drown in information, and that's another thing that when you're coaching, there's so much information. There's so many different outlets. There's stuff on YouTube. There's stuff on different platforms, podcasts, books you read, whatever, other coaches that you are coaching with, that it can be difficult to sift through what is useful and what isn't. And like the most beneficial thing I've found, and then you can throw your finishing thoughts on this one, is you have to know yourself as a coach to know how to use that information or how to navigate that information. So
you could get caught up like that's a really good point, Eric. That's a really good point because you can actually make yourself you could have such an ego that you're always right and everybody else's idea is stupid, or you could get caught up in saying, holy crap, this guy is really, because he's good at one thing. You can start there going, I don't know anything about anything, which isn't true, right? So for example, Mac that works with us, he'll go on that video. Not all he does, but this guy watches hockey, and if you want a clip of anything that's ever happened in hockey, right? An offside that happened with 3 minutes left, he's got it somewhere, and why it was offside. Like he's got a clip of everything, and he breaks down, which makes him a very good coach in one way. But so if I was to compare myself and just say, like, watch him and go, oh, this guy just does video all day. He breaks things down. He could go like he's just, this is what he does. Well, that's his strength, and it's not necessarily mine.
You're saying like you're looking at that thinking like, oh, I'm no good compared to him, kind of thing.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I know what I bring, and I know that what he brings. Like if I look at the two, he loves that part of the game, which is important. Like it's critical, especially as you go to high levels. You can't just be like a guy that thinks you're going to motivate people. You got to be able to. That's what the NHL is. That's why the guy has an earpiece. That's the guy upstairs watching. This guy's watching, and they're breaking shit down all the time. So one guy, they have two tendencies of how they break the puck up or whatever. It's already known because you need a guy like Mac to be breaking that down or to see it in a game to counter what someone else is doing, right? But then not every coach is like that. Other coaches are they don't use it. Like they could care less what that video says because they don't see you working hard, and that's the strength that this person might have, or they may be able to juggle the lines differently. Like everyone's got a different thing. So if you get caught up on listening to one person's strength, if you don't take it for what it's worth in your life, then it'll well either make you sad that you're dumb and you don't get it, or unmotivated saying I could never do that, or you could be cynical and say, well, that's just, you don't need all that shit, but you do. You need everything, and that's what makes a good bench. Is you have a couple people that can, or a couple 3 people that can bring different parts. Because if everybody was like me, it wouldn't be as structurally sound as someone like Mac. And if everyone was like Mac, they might not have any fun.
Yeah.
And I know, no, I'm joking, right? But because he listens to this, and I'm joking, but it's like you also need to be able to have like it's got a balance. It's just got a balance. So, anyways, when you're looking at someone that's really good, so like if I do a whatever, a skills clinic, and people go, holy, like, how do you do that? How do you teach that? Like, you can pick shit out all the time. So yeah, but that's my strength. Don't confuse that with me being a better coach with you. It's just I might be better at that one specific area, whereas you might kick my ass somewhere else. But we can understand each other, and we work off each other. That's what's important.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
what's funny too, though, like Mac says the same thing, and because he's great because he also has that growth mindset. Like he wants to be a better coach and he wants to learn other avenues and whatever, and he's very open to not criticism. I don't even want to say criticism. He's open to different ways of thinking about things, right? That are just not the same as his, right? And like we'll be in the amount of times he'll say to me like, yeah, fair enough, or yeah, I agree with that too, or what, he says stuff like that all the time. And even with you on the ice, he said to me a couple times now when we're talking about scheduling stuff, like, I want to be paired with Andy for this, or I'd like to be paired with Andy for this, or so it's almost like he's identified that same thing that you're talking about, where you see him with how he breaks shit down and all that, and then he might see you with how you interact with the kids or how you do skill stuff or whatever it is, and so you can fill those gaps in and blend it in. But if you have that mindset of just I know everything, and it's the ego thing, man. It's like it's so hard to break through that if you don't identify that you have it. But if you can just listen and try to find where you're lacking, because another thing that people were saying to me too, that I don't know if it can be positive, but also negative, is that you just confirm a lot of what I think, and that could be good, but that could also be not good, because what if what I'm saying and what I think, it's the same as what you think and we're both wrong? You know what I mean? So just because I think the same thing that you think doesn't mean that I'm right, or that you're right. So on the one hand, it could be positive and reassuring for people hearing their perspective come from somebody else, which is what a lot of them say is valuable. Like they like that part, but I would like to hear more so like, oh man, I never thought of it that way. Or I thought the opposite and you made me change my mind, or those kinds of things. That's where the growth happens. You disagree with everyone all the time, or you just keep doing the same thing you're doing all the time. There's no growth there. There's nothing that's going to become better for you. You know what I mean? So, that was kind of all I wanted to touch on today. I think that if you guys have a chance to go to that coaches site thing, like it was wicked, man. It was wicked. I think I'm going to try to get to the one that they do in Michigan. If they do another one before that, I'm going to try to go too. Because it's really, really cool event. And I like the lineup of speakers that they had. It felt modern. It felt up to date, and seeing people voluntarily pay to go means that they're doing something.
Yeah, they're doing something right, really right.
Yeah. So
either really good marketing or really good content.
Yeah, right.
And maybe it's a little bit of both.
They're saying they got like over 25,000 members now on their site.
Good for
something
them.
Like that, right? So
they're doing something right.
Yeah, it's a rich resource bank. So if you guys haven't done it, I'm not even associated with them in any way, actually. So it's not a plug or anything. It's just like go check it out.
That's the thing, is it's about being authentic again, right? Yeah. When you see something, I have no problem saying this is good.
Yeah, I signed up and they gave me this hat for free. I don't work for them. Everyone that went got a hat. So it's not like it's not a sales pitch or anything, but go check it out.
What a hat that is.
Yeah, I know.